What's up, producers? DJ Bods back again. Just a quick disclosure, I don't have my webcam. I'm still sorting out getting a new high quality one that has better lighting settings. So today is just going to be no webcam, but I'll still be walking you through this trans project. And also for $5 a month at my Patreon below, you can get this project and all the samples. So yeah, make sure you head down below to the first link and grab it. But without further ado, let's get into it.
So welcome inside of Ableton Producers. Today I'm just going to cover some key concepts of this track, but first of all, let's have a quick listen through from the break. So the first concept I want to cover today is the kick-bass relationship, and this is what that sounds like. Our track's in the key of E minor, which is all of the white keys, but we downshift, we upshift F to F sharp. With the kick and the bass, I'm actually leaving a lot more of the sub, as I labeled here, sub to the actual kick, because the kick comes naturally with quite a lot of sub, as you can hear. And I've given the actual bass, our low end bass, that's playing consistent notes here, as you can see. I've given that a lot more of the upper lows, so I'd say 100 Hertz to up around this area here. I'm squashing the bass quite a lot, just to make sure it stays a consistent volume in the event that you were playing this in a club in the 90s. And then I'm also sidechaining it quite heavily to the kick because of that tail on this kick drum. With the kick drum, I'm just tuning it to make sure it's in key. With your kick and bass, it's especially with a club kind of track, most producers are mixing it in E, F, or G keys because they play the best on subwoofers. So with the kick drum, I'm first running it through an audio effects rack here. I'm splitting the low frequencies using an EQ3 in the mid and highs. With the mid and highs, I'm driving them really hard with some saturation drum bus. And with the lows, I'm compressing them quite heavily with a glue compressor. If I remove it, it's just taming it a bit and keeping it at the same level. The next quick concept I'll just quickly run over is our percussion, so our claps, hats, and other things. And this is what they sound like. So typical of 90s house and trance was using 909 samples. So you can grab all of these samples with their effects in the Patreon below. Next off I wanted to cover is the tension string. So this is an Marshall Jefferson sample I found. And if we take all the effects off, it sounds like this. Way too jarring and sampled, so we're thinning it out a lot. So we're using it, side chaining it here to the kick drum. Then we're squashing it with OTT, rolling off a lot of the low end and mids, then chorusing it to push it out to the sides, And then we're gain staging it during the breakdown. And the most important concept I want to cover today are our leads. Typical of trance, we're playing polyrhythms, as you can see here. So we're playing in the key of E minor, as I mentioned before. And if I solo our first lead, our center lead, it's playing quite high in that region. For our effects, we're using reverb in an audio effects rack and compressing it to the dry signal. As you can see, it's an old school trick. We're taking out all the lows, overdriving it, give it some nice mid-range crunch, and then we're using some automation so that we can keep the faders free for mixing. And then we've got our wide lead, which is another saw lead. Which has quite a lot going on in here. So this is essentially the same patch as the first one, but we're using a ton of Serum's brilliant effects on there. So we're using a bit of phaser, chorus, delay, and reverb. So if you take all of these off, it's essentially the same patch as the other one. And you're really softening it with that reverb and delay and pushing it out in the mix. As for the actual channel effects, we're running some more reverb, running it into drum bus, then squashing it with OTT and taking the lows out again. On the main grouping, we've just got some compression, auto filter for automation, some EQ, and then some overdrive. Our affected ones are playing at a lower octave, and our main one, center lead, is playing a higher octave, as you can see. And then it moves up right here. Okay, the last concept I want to cover is a little bit different. I grouped it as bass, but this is actually more also somewhat of a lead. It's a very mid-rangey lead, made in Serum, using a sawtooth that's being filtered and a little bit of resonance. It's being filtered here for automation purposes. It's dynamic tube. To squash it again a bit, saturate it. We got taken off some of the high end to leave some for the leads here. We're delaying it just to give it a bit of space, and that's about it. And then in our low end, we're saturating it all together. So it all sits in the same area. Okay guys, so those are the main concepts I wanted to cover today. This is a pre-mastered file, so I'm going to leave it for you guys to do your own master on here. I've only put some tools on the master, such as an EQ, a tiny little bit of corrective EQ. Subscribe to my Patreon. You can also get this endless riser effects chain I created. So if we listen to that. So it does things like this. It's great for build-ups. It's really good for build-ups. Thank you guys for watching. This is my first diving into trance. I hope you enjoy. As I said at the beginning, you can grab the project and the samples below my Patreon for $5 a month. You'll be getting 4 to 5 projects per month, so about one a week. If you're a Patreon member. I'll also have links to my social media. You can go follow me there to keep updated with my ventures and when I'll be making new videos. But that's it, guys. Keep it fresh. Keep it cool. and never stop making beats. This is DJ Bod signing off.